Crepes are essentially thin pancakes made without a leavener. They are almost always accompanied by a variety of fillings and sauces. Unlike pancakes, crepes can be made in advance and heated for service. They can also be used in both sweet and savory applications depending on adding or removing sugar. To make the crepes, start by sifting the flour, sugar, and salt into a bowl. Next, add the eggs, just enough of the milk to form a soft paste. Mix with a whisk. Until the batter starts to smooth out. Add the remaining milk and oil. And mix until smooth. Now that the batter is relatively smooth, we're going to strain it just to make sure that we get rid of the rest of the residual lumps. At this point, now that everything is strained, we're going to cover it, we're going to label it, we'll put it in the refrigerator, and we want to store it for a minimum of 4 hours, preferably overnight. When the batter has rested and it's time for frying, set your crepe pan or skillet on the stovetop. Turn on the heat to high and allow the pan to become very hot. When the pan becomes hot, then we'll start brushing with oil. In the meantime, make sure that you take your crepe batter and give it a little stir just to make sure that it is uniform. Your pan will let you know when it's hot. Using a ladle works best. If you don't have a ladle, you can use a 1/4 measure cup. That works really well. And start with a small amount. The first crepe usually could be a little rough looking. Once the batter's in the pan, you want to swirl this around carefully, just to cover the bottom of the pan. You should be able to see some of the pan shining through the edges of the crepe. You'll start to see little bubbles forming on the surface. It's going to let you know that it's time to turn. Using a spatula is the safest way to start if you haven't done this before. Go around the edges, loosen them up. We're just looking for a little bit of color on the bottom, and then we're going to flip it over. For the second side, this may only take about 30 seconds. Remove from pan onto your serving plate. For presentation purposes, you can fold it into a triangle. So you would take your first made crepe and then fold it in half. And then you can fold it over again, form a triangle, and then set that on the plate. And you can continue that same pattern for the other ones. You could also roll it up, like so, and you could fill it with your favorite filling, sweet or savory. For presentation, we can fold those into our little triangles. And if you decide to store them, you can do that as well. So once they're cooled completely, a little parchment paper in between each one, you can wrap them up loosely in plastic wrap and they will freeze for a month easily. Or you can store them in the refrigerator for a day or two and then refresh them back in the same pan again. Adding things like fruit, jam, and pastry cream can completely change the dish. The savory opportunities can incorporate anything from vegetables to fish and meat. Because crepes have a neutral flavor, they can offer a lot of variety to any menu.